Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City Premier League football. It's back. It's back. I cannot wait for tomorrow night. Those of you that haven't joined me for a watch along so far during the pre-season and the Arsenal Community Shield game, of course, come and join me for the Burnley game this Friday night. It's going to be a unbelievably good game. What a game to start the season. Newly promoted Burnley with 100 points to their name last season in the Championship. A formidable season from Vincent Kompany's Burnley, taking on the treble winners. Does the Premier League season get off to a better start than that? I don't think it does. It's going to be unbelievable. So come and join me for the watch along. It will be good. But let's start with this epic game. It really is going to be an incredible game. I'm genuinely so excited for this game. The 100 points, the new feel, the perception of Burnley has been completely changed within such a short space of time as well. To see them go from Sean Dyche's Route 1, a bit ugly, a bit on the old school antiquated football ideologies, and now Vincent Kompany taking with him the lessons that he learned at Manchester City and putting that and implementing that into a Burnley side, completely changing the idea of experience and going for youth and a bit more speed as well, tenacity. And it destroyed the Championship. It obliterated the Championship last season. 265 appearances for City. Vincent Kompany had 45 of those under Pep Guardiola. So that bodes well, doesn't it, for Burnley? Learning from the master. This is the master versus the apprentice, and it's going to be a big one. I really am nervous as much as I'm excited because it's at Turf Moor Friday night. They're going to be bouncing. The atmosphere is going to be huge at Turf Moor, and it's a game that I don't really want to start the season off from a City selfish point of view. Probably not the fixture I would have hand-picked out of everyone we could have played, especially away, Turf Moor. Friday night, it's going to be tough. It really is going to be tough. But this is the second time the Premier League champions are opening the start of the next season. The last time that was to happen was Leicester against Hull, and they lost. So this is the second time in Premier League history that a champion is playing the game first and opening the season. So that doesn't bode well. But in terms of actual head-to-head history, I think they've won one, Burnley, out of the last 23 games, losing the last 11 successive games against Manchester City, most notably the most recent one last season in the Cup, 6-0. Smashed to bits. And I was worried about that game then, to be honest. I was genuinely worried about that game for the same reasons I've just listed, how good Burnley are in the Championship, or were, rather, in the Championship, and how good they potentially could be. I think Burnley should really be looking at top 12, top 10, maybe. I don't know about top 10, but certainly they shouldn't be talking relegation. I think they should be aiming a little bit higher than that, certainly in the top between 15th and 10th, in between that area, I believe, where Burnley could find themselves this season. But let's have a look at the City predicted starting 11 that I've gone for. There's only one player in here that this is my predicted 11. In terms of hopeful, if you go top left and look at, well, top left for you this way, Grealish is the only player for me that I think Pep will pick that I would personally prefer he didn't pick because of his performances in pre-season being very, very anonymous. It's becoming easier to target him. I don't want to blame the drinking, the Ibiza parties, the LA parties and all that. I don't want to blame all his recent... I talk about... he's not out of form. He's not playing badly. He's just not doing enough for me. I don't think he's creating enough chances and being audacious enough to take on his fullback enough. To be a bit braver on the ball is all I want to see from Grealish. But he keeps the ball well enough, and I think that's why Pep Guardiola will pick him. I can't see him dropping him. But let's start from the back. I've gone for Edison in goal, number one goalkeeper. I think Ortega has... at the ball at his feet needs working on a little bit. Shot stopping, I think he's the better keeper, but I think throughout this season now you're going to see Edison is still the number one goalkeeper at Manchester City, hence why he's in net. Now I've gone for the four at the back. I've gone off memory, recent memory being against Arsenal. I have a feeling that will be changed. I feel like Walker might not play as many minutes next season. Do we need his speed? against the potential speed that Burnley might have against us to nullify any counter-attacks that they have. That's their best hope of getting a goal, is a counter-attack or a set-piece. And even from set-pieces, Burnley, they're not the biggest side that they used to be. You know, in terms of Sean Dyche, they are more athletic and more nimble, smaller, shorter players that are less dominant in the air compared to our side now that's just an absolute unit. You add Paqueta to that side. He's a big guy as well, and all of a sudden the spine of our team is just monsters. Just like monsters. Huge blokes just going up against you. Huge blokes that can ball as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like going up against an NBA side that can play football. It's going to be fucking unbelievable if we can sign Paqueta to this already very large football team. But Guardiola, I've gone for. I've thrown him in. I think, why not? Akanji, I think, going forward, defensively, was a bit lacklustre against Arsenal. Their chances came, in the first half, came through Akanji's channel, in between Diaz and Akanji. Ben White and Saka finding a little bit of joy against Akanji, and understandably so, considering he's a right-footed centre-back playing left-back, you know? So I don't think that's his natural position, whereas Guardiola absolutely could play there. So I have gone for the four at the back. Guardiola, Diaz, Stones as the two centre-backs. Walker on the right. In front of them, I've gone for Rodri. In head of them is Kovacic and De Bruyne. I'm excited to see those two together. I think that's the Gundogan and De Bruyne combo that we saw a lot of last season, reignited a little bit. I think that's getting close to what we saw last season in the middle of the park. Up top, I've gone for Haaland, Bernardo Silva on the right, Grealish on the left. And that's the only position for me. Grealish. I'd rather have Foden there, to be honest. I think Foden deserves his start, considering the impact that he had coming on against Arsenal in the Community Shield. I think Bernardo Silva is our best chance of quality out on the right at the minute. People have been coming to me about Lucas Paqueta and saying that he isn't a winger. I personally believe he's going to play in that position. He could come inside. He could play centrally. He can play even on the left. Brazil, he's played across the whole front line. So to say he's not a midfielder, you need to do a bit of research. Go and have a look at where he's played for his national team, for Lyon. Not just last season against West Ham. You know, I think if we sign him, he sounds adamant that Pep wants him. He's going to be in that Bernardo Silva position, which is great news because I think that brings Bernardo Silva freedom to come inside. And the options then, the options are just through the roof, you know, in terms of quality. Not necessarily in numbers, but in terms of quality. World-class player in every position, nearly two in every position. So it's exactly what you want. But let's have a look at Burnley. A team that's very, very unpredictable. I think you're going to see a lot of chopping and changing, similar to how you see Pep change his team, keeping things fresh. He's got a big squad now, Burnley. They've spent money, 80 million euros they've spent so far, just under 80 million euros that they've spent so far in this January transfer window. Most recently, Sander Berge is the most recent one. Sander Berge is there. Go and watch their announcement for him, by the way Burnley announced him, struggling to pronounce Berger. It's Berge. But from Sheffield United, another Premier League team, like, why are they allowing like one of their best central defensive midfielders go to Burnley right before the start of the Premier League season? I don't understand. It spells doom for Sheffield United, the way they're operating, the transfer policy that they've had. I can't see them doing much this season. Burnley, on the other hand, signing Sander Berge, Dara O'Shea for 8 million, Jordan Bayer for 15 million from Borussia Mönchengladbach, a good solid centre-back, and a Kompany signing centre-backs. You know that he knows his centre-backs as well. Amdouni from Basel, I think he's going to be their star centre-forward. Spending 19 million is the giveaway, you know, in terms of what they've spent on this player. You've got Jay Rodriguez, you've got Lyle Foster, who could play up front as well. Jay Rodriguez brings experience, Lyle Foster's youth and fresh, like raw talent. And I feel like Amdouni is the player that's in between that, the player that's got that fresh talent, youngish, and peak of his career. I do think that they're going to go with him up top. James Trafford as well, can't forget that. City know all too well how much money received for him, but he had a bit of a ropey pre-season, in truth. I believe it was Betis, Real Betis, or Genk. I can't remember who it was. But they've had a mixed pre-season. I think they've lost 2. Won 1, lost 2, and drawn 1. Most recently lost 3-0 to Genk. I think it was Real Betis that James Trafford got lobbed from the halfway line in a game that ended up having 2 red cards in it. So there's Vincent Kompany for you, the tenacity, the aggressiveness, and 2 red cards given out in a friendly. And also the work ethic that we're talking about from Burnley that we're going to see tomorrow night is the fact that their Genk game, they lost 3-0, but it was a 90-minute Premier League pre-season friendly. That's what we saw. But Vincent Kompany decided to stick another 30 minutes on. One of the weirdest stipulations in friendly that I've ever seen. And it just goes to show how hard he's working these players. That he said, right, we're going to do a 90-minute game, and then we're going to have half an hour added on at the end of the game, at the end of the pre-season. So a 120-minute game for pre-season before the Premier League. So we're going to see work ethic. These players are going to be running about and without fail. They're going to have their engines at maximum capacity, pistons all firing, they're going to be fully fit, raring to go. A horrible team to play against that's going to be, I feel like they won't press too high. I think they'll be sensible and press from the halfway line and probably poach us on the counter-attack, or attempt to at least. But in terms of their lineup, I've gone for Trafford in goal, Roberts and Taylor as the 2 full-backs. They have got Vitinho that could play left-back, a little bit more on the attacking side, and I feel like Charlie Taylor's given you more of that solidity. Didn't get that many minutes last season, but you're going up against City. So you want a defending defender in that position. I feel like they might go for Charlie Taylor. Their Bayer, the new signing, and O'Shea, the new signing, is 2 centre-backs that could prove well, could be a good partnership. Cullen, last season, Player of the Year for Burnley. Quality engine that he's got. Alongside Brownhill, another quality attacking midfielder, and Cork alongside. That's been their nucleus to their midfield for quite some time. Will they see Sander Berger thrown in? I'm not too sure that they'll throw him straight into the deep end. You've got Twine, who could play in Brownhill's position as well. Zarouwi has been solid for them on the left, as is Goodmanson. We know him from a few Premier League minutes as well. Good quality players, and Admouni going up top for his debut potentially against Manchester City. So it's going to be a really interesting game. A game that I'm genuinely so excited about. They have made some losses though. Nathan Tella has gone back to Southampton, last season's top goal scorer for them. So have they replaced their goals, or Nathan Tella's goals? Ian Maatsen has gone back to Chelsea. He was predominantly playing left back last season as well. So it's going to be an interesting season for Burnley. A team that could surprise a few teams, and I think they could also underwhelm in certain games as well because of the youth that they've got. And I think they'll be happy with top 15. I think they genuinely would be happy with that. I don't count them as relegation candidates because I think they hit the heights so aggressively last season coming up. With 100 points to their name, the confidence is going to be flowing through Burnley. Turf Moor has been a fortress for them for the last year. Premier League games are very, very different though, so it's going to be interesting to see what brings tomorrow night's game. What's going to happen during tomorrow night's game? And I think City will win. My prediction, I'm going for 3-0. I hope we keep a clean sheet. I hope we can keep them quiet. We can't allow them to score first. We score first, I think we'll probably settle into a rhythm, dominate the game from there on out, and probably see out with a couple of goals in the second half, that sort of game. Allow them to score early, the place is going to be bouncing, they're going to pin up, drawbridge up, they're going to batten down the hatches, and it's going to be a horrible evening, which is 8 o'clock English time tomorrow. So come and join me for the watch along. It will be a good game to watch. It will be good to watch me, and I want to talk to you guys, meet some new faces, meet some new guys commenting on the chat. It's been really good so far throughout pre-season, getting to know a lot of you guys, and yeah, really looking forward to it. Blues, give me your predictions in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now.